Power Dialers for B2B, Best Practices for Calls. Why B2B teams are reinvesting in cold calling. If you're leading B2B outbound in 2025, you've probably seen the same pattern. Reps feel like nobody answers, managers see inconsistent activity, and pipeline production doesn't match the effort. The challenge isn't just motivation, it's math. When the average rep is making roughly 52 calls per day and connecting on about 7%, most teams simply don't generate enough live conversations to create predictable meetings. Industry analyses put overall cold calling success in the low single digits, roughly 2 to 4.8%, with B2B often clustering around the a few percent range when you define success as a qualified conversation or a meeting. That means tiny improvements compound fast, but only if you can create more at-bats without turning your outbound motion into noise. This is exactly where modern dialing workflows can make your team feel back in control of outbound again. Power dialers are designed to remove the manual friction that quietly kills outbound throughput. Hand dialing, ring time, repetitive logging, and messy follow-up steps. When they're implemented with clean data and a disciplined process, they can lift activity and outcomes. When they're treated like a spam cannon, they just help you burn brand equity faster. In this guide, we'll focus on how B2B teams and any outbound sales agency can use power dialers to generate more conversations, more meetings, and better pipeline quality. A power dialer automatically dials contacts from a call list one at a time, reducing downtime between attempts and keeping reps focused on live conversations. The rep stays in control of the interaction, and the system handles the mechanics: dialing, pacing, voicemail drops, and consistent activity logging. That one-at-a-time design is why power dialers fit B2B cold calling services so well, especially when calls require personalization, quick discovery, and clean note-taking. The big contrast is predictive dialing, which calls multiple numbers simultaneously and then routes answered calls to available reps. That model can work in high-volume transactional telesales, but it creates risk in consultative B2B because it can generate abandoned calls if more people answer than you have reps ready. In the US, the telemarketing sales rule, commonly cited safe harbor, is an abandoned call rate not exceeding 3% of live answered calls per campaign over a 30-day period, which is easier to respect with power dialing than with aggressive predictive pacing. Volume, connect rate, and meetings. Power dialers matter because they change the top of the funnel without requiring more headcount. Revenue.io's benchmarks highlight what many teams experience after implementation. Outbound reps can increase call volume by 3 to 4x and improve connect rates by up to 32% when the workflow is configured correctly. That means more live conversations per rep day, which is the true constraint in most outbound motions. On the connect side, Cognism's dataset, often cited in recent cold calling roundups, reports an overall connection rate around 16.6% in well-targeted programs, roughly 1 in 6 dials reaching a live prospect. At the other end of the spectrum, some 2025 roundups show teams closer to single-digit connects, which typically signals list issues, wrong numbers, switchboards, non-ICP, more than it signals cold calling is dead. If your connect rate is under 5%, treat that as a data quality and targeting alarm before you rewrite your script. Meetings are the KPI that converts activity into pipeline, and the best benchmarks are surprisingly grounded. Across 423 B2B teams and 2.1 million calls, Optify reports an average cold call to meeting conversion rate of 2.5%, or about 1 meeting per 40 dials. Top performers hit 5 to 8% and need only 15 to 20 dials per meeting. This is why strong SDR agencies and cold calling companies manage to conversation and meeting rate metrics, not just raw dial. Implementation. Set up the dialer like a revenue system. A power dialer will amplify whatever you feed it, good or bad. So implementation starts with list hygiene and segmentation, not with turning up the speed. Before you run a full call block, audit for wrong titles, bounced numbers, missing direct dials, and loose ICP filters. The goal is simple. Every list loaded into the dialer should have a clear narrative, persona, plus problem, plus reason to call now. Otherwise, you're just accelerating into low-quality conversations. Next, integrate tightly with your CRM and sales engagement tools so reps aren't doing after-call admin for hours. Automatic call logging, standardized dispositions, and triggered follow-ups are what make power dialing sustainable at scale, whether you build in-house or run sales outsourcing with an outsourced sales team. When the system automatically creates the next task, call, email, LinkedIn touch, based on the call outcome, you stop relying on memory and start running a repeatable cadence. Finally, match dialer mode and pacing to deal complexity. Use power mode for typical SDR outreach where speed and relevance both matter. Use preview mode for high-value strategic accounts. And avoid predictive unless you truly operate like a call center with the compliance infrastructure to monitor abandonment and pacing. If you're adding parallel lines, ramp slowly and watch answer rate and spam labeling by caller ID, because one burned line can quietly drag down the entire program. Treat your power dialer like a surgical instrument, not a spam cannon. Clean data and disciplined execution turn extra dials into real meetings. Call block design, how top teams create consistent throughput. Power dialing works best when it's run in focused call blocks, not as an all-day background task. Many teams see stronger pickup rates when they call in proven windows like 8 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. in the prospect's time zone. Then protect those blocks on calendars like they would protect a pipeline meeting. The discipline matters because the dialer gives you speed, but only your schedule gives you consistency. A practical B2B target for many teams using a power dialer is 80 to 150 targeted dials per rep per day, not 300 random calls. The moment you chase raw volume, you sacrifice the two behaviors that actually drive conversion: tight relevance in the opener and clean follow-up. Strong B2B cold calling services pair the dialer with a call attempt ladder across 2 to 3 weeks, so you're not betting everything on a single attempt. The dialer should sit inside a multi-channel cadence, not replace it. When reps call people who just opened an email, visited a pricing page, or clicked a LinkedIn ad, the call feels less like an interruption and more like a timely follow-up. That's one reason a cold email agency plus dialer workflow often outperforms calls only. The best outbound sales agency setups make this orchestration automatic, so reps work a prioritized queue rather than guessing who to call next. Execution on live connects. Personalize without killing speed. Dialers don't close deals, reps do, so your talk track has to survive higher tempo. We recommend coaching SDRs on a simple structure they can repeat at speed: a clear introduction, a relevance statement tied to the prospect's role, and a permission-based question that invites a micro yes instead of forcing a pitch. When teams coach the first 30 to 45 seconds relentlessly, they often lift conversation quality without needing more dials. Personalization is still possible at scale if you design it as fast context, not as bespoke research for every contact. A lightweight 3x3 habit: 3 insights in 3 minutes for top accounts works well when paired with preview dialing for strategic targets and power dialing for the broader ICP. The key is to use the dialer panel and CRM context to sound specific. I noticed X, while keeping your opener short enough to maintain rhythm across a call block. Voicemail and follow-up are where a power dialer quietly adds a second layer of leverage. When voicemail drops and call dispositions automatically trigger the next email, reps stop losing time to repetitive admin, and prospects get consistent messaging across channels. This is also where pay-per-appointment lead generation programs tend to win or lose. The meeting outcome depends on clean handoffs, precise notes, and fast confirmations, not just a calendar invite. Common mistakes that make power dialers underperform. The most common failure is using a power dialer to spray unsegmented, low-quality lists. You don't feel the damage immediately because activity rises, but connect rates drop, conversations get hostile, and caller ID reputation degrades over time. If you want the dialer to work like a true sales development agency system, every list needs tight ICP rules, refreshed direct dials, and clear persona-based messaging. The second mistake is measuring reps on dials alone. When SDRs are judged purely on volume, they rush openers, skip notes, avoid thoughtful questions, and lean on robotic scripts, exactly the behaviors that crush meeting rates. Use dials as a health metric, but manage performance to connects, conversation to meeting rate, and dials per meeting, anchored to the 2.5% benchmark, 1 per 40, and the 15 to 20 dials per meeting range for top performers. The third mistake is copying B2C pacing settings and ignoring compliance. Even if you're a B2B sales agency, you still need to respect calling hours, honor do not call requests, and monitor abandoned call risk, especially if you're experimenting with parallel lines. Staying comfortably under the 3% abandoned call threshold is both a legal posture and a brand protection strategy, and power dialing makes that much easier than predictive approaches. Optimization, coaching, caller ID health, and a 90-day pilot. Once your baseline is stable, optimization becomes a weekly routine. Review recordings, tighten openers, and identify the exact moments where prospects disengage. Dialers create more conversations, which means they also expose weaknesses faster. That's a gift if you use it. Teams that run structured coaching sessions, especially focused on the first minute, often see meeting rates climb without changing list size or dialing hours. Protecting caller ID reputation is the other lever most teams ignore until it's too late. As you scale, rotate from a pool of clean numbers, warm up new caller IDs gradually, and monitor answer rate by line. If one line's pickup rate drops sharply, pull it and investigate spam labeling. EVS7's case study shows how dialing tech can produce a 115% increase in dials per hour and total calls per day. But those gains only convert to pipeline if your numbers keep reaching real humans. We recommend running a 60 to 90-day pilot before expanding seats, adding more lines, or rolling the motion across every segment. Start with 1 or 2 ICP slices, define targets for connect rate and dials per meeting, and measure outcomes all the way to opportunities, not just meetings booked. Whether you hire SDRs internally, work with an SDR agency, or evaluate sales outsourcing, the pilot gives you proof before you commit to a larger operational footprint.